Welcome back in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us. We are joined now by Congressman John James. He's up in Michigan, and he represents the Detroit area, which was a bit of a surprise, I guess, according to the Reverend Al Sharpton. Good to have you on, Congressman. For people who don't know that story, I retweeted your video response this morning. What happened there?
Sure. Reverend Al Sharpton, as you know, is a host on the network MSDNC. MSNBC, and he was talking to one of our progressive socialist candidates for Senate here, and he made mention that Michigan hasn't had a black congressman for a while, and that's kind of odd because I think I've been black for the past 44 years. So imagine my surprise when I see this clip that one of my friends forwarded to me, saying that there was no black congressman for the state of Michigan. Now, I was raised to believe that regardless of the color of my skin, I would be judged by the content of my character. But sadly, with guys like Al Sharpton, there's only one way to be black when his party believes that children should be addressed by 15,000 ways in their gender. This is something that is indicative of how extreme their party has gone, that they are so blinded to reality that they either refuse to acknowledge the representation that is in the state of Michigan, and the fact that we are turning away from their lives because everywhere there is Democrat control in cities across the nation. Overwhelmingly, African Americans and all people, frankly, are suffering. So we are going to combat that in the way that Charlie taught us. We're going to combat that with ideas. We're going to combat that with words. We're going to combat that with better policies. And we are going to make sure that our better policies reach every corner of America to make our streets safer, to make our schools better, to make our jobs have better pay and more of them, to make our housing more affordable and more accessible. These are things that our policies win on. And you see people voting with their feet, moving from states like New York to states like Florida, moving from states like California to states like Texas. These are the things that people see, and they will not be fooled by the race baiters and the haters out there. So I just decided to tell the truth when they lied about us.
We're talking to John James. He's running for governor of Michigan. I just was with you a couple of weeks ago up in Mackinac Island. I've talked about this quite a lot, but my wife's family is all from Michigan. And I said in the speech that I gave that I think Michigan is the most important state in the nation when it comes to what's going to happen in 2026 and what's going to happen in 2028. If Republicans win the governor's race that you're in and also win the state in the 2028 election, we're going to have great leadership. How does that happen? What do you see on the ground right now?
Well, that's exactly right. Michigan is going to be the center of the electoral universe in 2026 for a lot of reasons. We have an open governor's seat. We have an open Senate seat. We have a number of competitive House seats. We have a number of competitive seats in our state legislature. We have an open seat for the Attorney General, open seat for Secretary of State. And there's going to be over $500 million spent in the battleground state of Michigan in 2026. Having a strong top of ticket, if you're concerned with making sure we hold a majority in Washington, D.C., making sure that we have a strong top of ticket running for governor in the state of Michigan in a swing state is the most important thing you can do. And I can prove it. When you look at swing states like Pennsylvania and Arizona, if you have a top of ticket that drags down the rest of the ballot, then you lose seats that Republicans should win, like we lost 2 Senate seats, 1 in Arizona, 1 in Pennsylvania, and up to 5 House seats in Arizona and Pennsylvania. Contrastingly, you have Lee Zeldin in the last midterm who ran a strong race, and he still fell short in New York, and I imagine there are a number of New Yorkers with buyer's remorse for Kathy Hochul at this particular point. But Lee Zeldin ran such a strong race that he pulled 6 Republicans across the finish line and 5 in districts that Biden won. And all that did was save the Republic. We had such a thin majority in the 118th Congress, the last Congress, because we were able to compete and win in blue and purple seats, in blue and purple states, all over the country, and Michigan is one of those places that we need to hold and have pickups. And the best way we can do that is have the strongest top of ticket in Michigan. Right now, I am leading the primary by 50 points. And I'm the only Republican who's beating the Democrats in the general. We have the Democrat mayor of Detroit who's running as an independent in the general election, and he's bleeding more votes from the Democrats. This is a golden opportunity, not just for 2026, but guys, we have a presidential election coming up in 2028, and we have a current Secretary of State who's in charge of our elections, who the DOJ is investigating for malfeasance in prior elections. Making sure that we can trust our election results is so important, not just for Michigan, but for people all over the country. And then after that, we have a census, and then controlling, making sure that we have a good census to reapportionment. Michigan is going to be the center, and this is how we build. I'm old enough to remember when Florida was a swing state and Ohio was a swing state. But because Republicans stepped up, took ownership, and began to change policies to make it more favorable for their citizens, they are now red states, and they are thriving. And that is what's possible in Michigan. Michigan can not only be the most beautiful, most gritty, most amazing state, but we can also be the most well-run state if we choose to pick up and we all get the support for a strong top of ticket and start planning for the future.
We're talking to John James. He represents the 10th Congressional District of Michigan right now. You went to West Point. What was that experience like? You also served overseas in Iraq. What was that experience like for people who do not know your background? Give them your bio and let them know how you came to be where you are today.
I came to be where I am today by the grace of God and a mama who would not quit on a boy who was raised in Detroit. When she watched a bunch of other young black men go down the wrong path, she refused to surrender me to the streets. And my father and mother worked hard together to give me the best and my brother and sister the best lives that they could. And I know that since they come from the Jim Crow South, they came to Michigan for opportunities. And I've been exceedingly blessed in my life. And so they taught me that I have to use my blessings to be a blessing to others. That is why I knew that I needed to serve my nation, this great country that has given us so much. No, we're not perfect, but we're the greatest nation that's ever been. And we need to share the good news with anyone who will listen and most who won't. This is what I was able to do. I graduated high school. I went to West Point. I graduated West Point 2004. I became a Ranger qualified Apache pilot, and I flew 750 hours combat in Operation Iraqi Freedom. I came back home after that to join my family's business, and I was able to help 10x the company, top line revenue, and add hundreds of jobs in Michigan and around the country. I started a family, beautiful life, 3 little boys, got a couple master's degrees, and now I'm in Congress. I'm serving the people of the state of Michigan because it's the honor of my life to give back and serve, and that's what animates me. The interesting part about my West Point story, and real quick, my class was the first class to take the oath of affirmation, which means we make a promise to complete our obligation in the first hour of the junior year. And we were the first class to make our oath of affirmation knowing that we would go to war. We were sophomores during September 11th. And as a result, our class, our West Point class, has taken the most casualties of any academy class since Vietnam. And that is not just direct combat. That's also the unseen scars of war. That's also the suicides. That's also the overdoses. And so when you look at the mental health crisis in this nation, as a congressman now, as a governor later, and as long as there's breath in my lungs, I'm going to commit my life to addressing the scourge of substance use disorders, mental health underservice, and making sure that we all have the resources that we need. We are not serving our veterans, and we are not serving those who struggle with mental health adequately. Our schools, our hospitals, and our jails are not made up. They are not configured to deal with the special needs of folks who are struggling with mental health. So the lessons that I learned at West Point, the lessons that I learned in combat, and the things that I've seen serving the state of Michigan are all pushing me to restore hope in the state of Michigan, restore trust in the state of Michigan, restore wellness in the state of Michigan, restore family and family values in the state of Michigan. And also, this is important too, restore beauty. When God looked down on the earth and he saw things that they were good, he saw things that were operating in the purpose that they were created for. Every plan that we make has to work within its purpose. And then when it's truly good, that's when things are beautiful. When you look at things throughout the course of humanity, we're not just here to eat, sleep, work, and die. We are here for a purpose. Men, we are more than just our job. Women, you are more than just a vessel for babies. You are here to bring glory to God and love your neighbors as yourself and make this world a better place. These are all the things that we have the privilege to do in this great country, and we can all do it together in the future with the right leadership.
I love all that. For people who are fired up, they can find you where?
You can go to johnjamesmi.com, or you can find me on all the socials at johnjamesmi. Thank you all so much, and God bless you all.
Yeah, by the way, one last question.
Yeah, sure.
Are the Detroit Lions going to the Super Bowl this year?
The Detroit Lions are going to the Super Bowl this year and every other year for the rest of my life. Dan Campbell is the best coach that has ever existed on the planet. And you know what? The best move, he let the Green Bay Packers win that first game to take the pressure off his guys. You know what? What a great, great coach, you know. Lions will go 16-1, Super Bowl champions, and the score will be 74-0 Lions.
Outstanding stuff. We appreciate the time. It was great to hang out with you up at Mackinac, and look forward to talking with you throughout the campaign.
Of course. Thanks a lot. God bless. Bye-bye.
That is John James, who is the Democrats' worst nightmare in many ways, I think, if you look at what would happen if Republicans could take back control of the governor's mansion in Michigan. Just think about that. Leave aside John James's campaign. I think he made a really good, compelling pitch there, and we're going to talk to some of the other candidates out there as well. But as he said, you've got a big Senate race going on, and that could be transformative if that seat were to flip, as it nearly did in 2024. And if you take over the governor's mansion, Democrats are in dire straits because there is a real march, I think, for the Republican Party in the state of Michigan. I feel that momentum, again, because my wife's family is all from there, and we are in Michigan on a not pretty regular basis. So I feel like I understand that state a little bit better than I do others, and that could be a huge difference. Because, again, if you told me right now, hey, Republicans are going to win Michigan in 2028, I would say, okay, Republicans are going to win the White House. And if you told me Republicans are going to be able to flip a Senate seat in 2026 and win the governor's mansion, I would feel even better about what's going to happen in 2028. So again, Michigan is a state I think everybody should be paying attention to see what happens in all of these competitions.